a Heroes Welcome podcast. Continue. Welcome back, listeners, to another very special bonus episode of a Heroes Welcome podcast. I am your co-host, Mariela Cardiego, and I am with my never angry co-host, Liliana Bailon. I mean, like, never is such a strong word, but this is definitely Liliana Bailon. Hey, thank you for being here. We're so excited. We're having another bonus episode promoting not promoting Disney. They don't need promotions, but promoting the conference that is happening at Disney that Maria is hosting, and we're here with a lovely guest. Donna, how do you want to introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Dana Wyss. My young clients refer to me as Dr. Dana. I think that's the only part of my name they can get out correctly. And I'm so excited. I was so I am in California, and I was so jealous last year when I could not participate. My dad's birthday and this event coincide with each other. I think they believe I'm coming home for his birthday again this year. And I've been very clear I'm not, because I am going to Disneyland this year. I don't think they believe me. So it'll probably be day of, and I'll be with you, Maria. And my dad will be like, "Why aren't you home?"
Right? Like, are you on your way? What's happening?
Yeah. Where are you? So last year I missed out, and I'm so excited not just to be there, but to be able to present this year. It's super exciting. And I am a play therapist, a marriage and family therapist, and an art therapist. My degree was in marriage and family therapy and art therapy. And I did that for many years, got my doctorate in expressive therapies. And then I say this on every podcast, Tammy Van Hollander, it's all her fault. I became a play therapist. It's not just her fault, but also writing the Invisible String workbook and my association with the Invisible String has also that kind of prompted me to move into the play therapy world. And one of the best decisions I made in my life. And now I'm going to Disneyland.
It all comes back. It all comes back. I love it. Yes. So you are a speaker for year 2 of our Play Therapy Disney Bound conference, which I am just tickled pink that you said yes when I was like, hey, I mean, I know it's a hard sell. Hey, would you want to go to Disney with me and like call it work? That's a real tough sell. But tell us a little bit about what your session's going to be on. And in case people haven't registered yet, I think I'm like down to 12 seats. There is like a minute left for you to still join us. But what are you sharing with our group?
So first I have to say, I think you asked me like 10 times if I really wanted to do it. And I was like, I don't like, you got the words out like, Dana, I'd like you to talk in. And I said yes before I even knew you were saying Disneyland, but like, I was a yes before you even asked me. And then I feel like you asked if you're like, are you sure? And I was like, I just sent you a list of the things I want to do in my talk. Like, did you not see my list that I've been dreaming? So I am so excited, and I'm super excited that I got anger as the emotion that I get to dive into, because that is something that I have worked with my whole career. Most of my experiences in working in de-escalation and aggression. I've been in, kind of working in the foster care system and group home and psychiatric hospitals for most of my career now, because now I'm in private practice, and I'm going to say just as much anger in private practice as was in all of those environments. But I really, for some reason, maybe because I also feel lots of anger a lot of times, I don't know, but for some reason, I am able to hold space in a way that is really uncomfortable for other people. When people are raging, when people are in really big, scary situations, I have been able to be an anchor for them. And I just want to share some of the ways I do that while still also staying safe, because I think that's really a big mismatch people have. It's like either I get scared by the anger and I just want to shut it down, or I'm not sure how to contain it at all. I let the person go and I don't know what to do, and I maybe put myself in danger. Yeah. And so that balance is such a delicate dance. And it's also really overwhelming for people. And I just have some kind of ability to sit in it and have been able to for a long time. And I think the last 13 years of my career has been just training other people how to do this. Well, and I was still in the group home setting, so still doing it and working alongside with people. But um, yeah, so that's a little bit about how we got to this topic. And I'm
Yeah.
super excited to share things I've done, things I haven't done. We have some new fun things I want to try that I haven't been able to.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it is. I think, I think, Dana, when I think about what you just shared, I think one of the things that comes through for me is that both in the invisible string and hope in the winds of grief, and with their talk on anger, your focus is being an anchor when everything else feels so unsteady and big, right? I think that that's a common thread that I see in, I've been to some of your talks too, and like that is like, how do you maintain being safe and stable so that they can do what they need to and then have the skills to help bring them back into their window of tolerance. So yeah, and yeah, I absolutely asked you 10 million times because this is another episode topic, but like imposter syndrome. I'm sorry, Dr. Dana said yes to me. Are you kidding me? Are you sure? Are you sure, sure, sure? How many times can I ask you if you're sure before I'm just like, just make the reservation, Maria? Put her name on the thing. Do it.
That is so it also like what you just said, which I appreciate so much about the anchor, is so funny because Patrice Garson and I just did a podcast with Carmen. One is amazing, amazing. And Patrice has been sharing a lot about her experience of writing The Invisible String, which is a book all about connection and love, and her experience of not having a lot of that when she was growing up. And we've kind of talked about that experience with her and like kind of putting out in the world what she hasn't gotten. And what you just said makes me think about like, I have big emotions and I have moments where I get angry and people call me intimidating and call me scary. And it's like, I need anchors. And like, so it's like becoming that person for other people that we need for ourselves, which hopefully helps that become it for ourselves, because you can't always have that, right? You can't always find that in other people. But I think that that's such an important part and probably why I have such an attachment to helping people through anger and helping people experience that, because I know it is a really scary thing for a lot of people for many different reasons. Aggression is scary. Let's be real, blood is scary. And sometimes when there's anger and aggression, blood happens.
Oh, yeah.
And for some reason, like I can handle those things. I mean, my dissertation's on self-injury. I just wrote a workbook about suicide loss. I mean, I dive into kind of these deep, hard topics a lot. So
Yeah.
there's something in me allows me to just sit in these.
And I so appreciate this topic, right? Like, there's now it's becoming the theme of everyone talking about working with migrants, which I so appreciate because I was like, I cannot be the only one. But one of the problems that I deal with the school settings is that when a kiddo has that journey, anger shows up, and it makes sense. It's tied to grief, it's tied to adjustments, it's tied to the unknown. And unfortunately, most school settings struggle with anger because they want to tame it automatically. And there is a purpose to have anger. So, of course, for any therapist who's listening to the podcast today, like you need this training so that you can see the child and not just focus on the symptom, which is the anger.
It's like
Absolutely.
that delicate balance of allowing the anger a space without it consuming everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just becoming more and more, right? I know I'll age myself as I do. I was listening to our podcast and I was like, I feel like I do this pretty often. I'm going to age myself. So in school, right, for programming, it was anger is a secondary emotion. You need to see past the anger to like what's driving it. And it's like, okay, but anger is also just a primary emotion. Like, can we just acknowledge that we have anger and anger serves a purpose? It's not bad, right? Like, I think we're all walking away from Inside Out and Inside Out too, that feelings are not bad. Our behaviors can be questionable and might not be tolerated in certain settings, but the emotions are valid and they're important communication that if our first response is just to dampen it down, especially as clinicians, what is that message that we're giving that person, right? That that's somehow wrong, you're not safe, this is not okay, right? And I get it in the school setting, like they have other things that are going on, but in a clinic room, in a therapy room, I really do think it's on us to be the safe person for them to feel these emotions without adding shame, without trying to dim it down, and build up those skills so that they can manage it outside of our room.
Yeah. And for both of you, right, you just named for, again, all the listeners, which is there's a difference between the emotion and the behavior. Yet we tend to sum it up as one when that is not the case. So I love that you're going to be talking about this and all the clinicians, not only having a blast, being in line with other clinicians while we are, talking about Disney and Disney characters and ruined Disney princesses for me last year.
Shout out to Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica. I will never see Disney princesses the same.
You're welcome.
That's not true. I learned so much, but I did give Jessica grief for it.
And I think that's part of it, right? Like part of the drive about doing this at Disney is to, I mean, if you know anything about me, pop culture is my language, and it's furthering that step, right? Play therapy, we say, play is the child's language. Play is anyone's language. Like if we look at people's behaviors and their play or their lack thereof, it's communication. And so often I keep running into clinicians, play therapists who don't play. They don't play themselves, right? And so for me, it was like, well, if we do this at Disney, you don't have any excuse. Like one, you're going to drink the Kool-Aid and the Disney magic hits you, and you're going to come home with extra ears and like all the things.
All the pins.
And all the pins. And my hope is that one, you're learning new information, but you're integrating it as well. And you're giving yourself permission to play for your own pleasure and enjoyment, because we're losing that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really powerful, Dana, for you to come in and be like, yes, and we're gonna take one of the big strong emotions, and we're gonna talk about that. I think it's incredible. But tell us, can you give us like a sneak peek? What is something that they might walk away with that would be new information?
Well, one, you just touched on it a little bit, is that
Oh,
my work and my practice spans the lifespan. So I do art and play for all ages. I do couples work, I do family work, I do adults, I do teenagers, I do children. And so my talk is not going to be only about how to use this with children, but how do you integrate some of these activities into couples work, into other places, which is a talk I did for another group, was adult work with play therapy and how to, obviously navigate it and talk about it. I talk about it a little bit, not for everybody, actually. I have a client where it's school play therapy and we have fun, but there are people who the play is hard for them, which is part of why they're struggling and coming to me for couples therapy.
yes.
And so part of the talk is really about that piece of it. Like, how do we really use these tools in age appropriate ways that feel comfortable for people throughout the lifespan? And then I would say the other piece of it is leaning into a little bit of science, a little bit of art, and a little bit of play in the activities. So I can maybe tease that there might be some kind of volcanoes happening that you may have never seen before. There may be some explosions, but I'm going to have to talk with Maria to just find out and make sure we have a space where I can do this, where we don't get kicked out. I've been on lists before.
You don't want to be on Disney's bad list.
There may be explosions. If we can find the right place, I will figure it out one way or another. There's going to be a way to kind of integrate this and think about also like that balance, right? Like there are some, like I'll give an example. Like I have, we'll call them lightsabers, but they're really pool noodles, which everyone has in their office. There are clients that the pool noodles are a great tool for, that have anger and need to get it out. And there are clients who have anger and need to get it out, and the pool noodle is not a great tool for them. It escalates them more. It makes them feel out of control. And so we'll also talk about the navigation of that. Like, what am I doing that may make something worse or more out of control instead of help them release it and think about that. And then tons of resources. I mean, I've read a ton of great books. So there are things that I will give the group that kind of like a resource list that they can take with them and continue learning.
Beautiful. How lucky for all of you who are gonna go and play, even though you're an hour in line to get a games, right? The hour goes really fast because Maria is able to organize and people start like texting each other so they can hold online. Like it's an awesome experience. All of you are gonna have a blast. I did it last year, and yeah, me and my son, who was 21, like we were getting up early and going and play. We had a blast. He's bummed that we're not going this year, but again, we will go next year. Thank you for doing this. I am so excited to see all the pictures because now I'm like, Donna, you're gonna have to go and find anger in Disneyland and then take a picture. That's gonna be so awesome. Any other last thing that we want to share with them before we let you go, Maria and Donna?
For me, I mean, I get to use these special episodes to also just like very loudly say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. I know it's not really a hard sell, but it is also it's different, and you're still very much taking a chance on me and this new event. And that does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. And the way you said anger so fast when I was like, hey, which if I do inside out, which anger? I want anger. Um, like it lights me up because I think that's the other thing is that you can tell you're very passionate and very proud of the work that you're doing. And I'm just so thankful that this will be another opportunity for that to reach a new audience. And I mean, that means that we get to go play in Disneyland together for a week, Dana. Like, I mean, it's a hard job I have.
I can't tell you how many people have been like, wait, your job is about to be in Disneyland for a week. Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is, my friends. I feel so honored to be asked. And I think when you asked me, it was right when I was in the heart of finishing Hope and the Winds of Grief workbook, which is it's a children's book and a workbook related to suicide loss. And I was on the anger section, I believe. And really, because we kind of went through the winds of grief that we identified that our characters go through. And we had kind of done sections for each of the different emotions that happen and activities that can match, which really could be used for any of the emotions is the secret, but we just kind of categorize them for people to help out. But I was right in the middle of doing the anger section and doing some of the activities with my clients. And I was like, oh my gosh, this will be so fun. Yeah. I also forgot to mention there could be smashing involved. So I'm just going to throw that last little teaser out.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to go check my liability insurance with Disneyland.
And for all of you who are listening, not only you're going to learn, you're going to play. There's going to be a lot of experiential exercises as we have named here. And then the other thing is that you're going to eat so well. You're for a treat. Like from all the food that we get from breakfast, lunch, snacks. We were so surprised last year. We were like, this is a lot of food and good food. One of the few conferences where I was taken care of from the beginning to the end. So thank you, Maria. I envy both of you because I'm not going to be there this year again, but I cannot wait to see the pictures. All of you are going to have a blast. So please, listeners, go and get those last seats that they're available. Hurry up. This is what, less than 2 months away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's a little bit more, depending on when this comes out. But yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close. I'm already like finishing up swag and like doing all the things with the pins. And yeah, it's go time. So don't wait.
So thank you again for listening. We will put all the information in the podcast. Thank you for saying yes, Tana. I cannot wait to hear anything more about it. And hopefully you'll come back and talk to us more about your new projects.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you all so much.
Thanks. Till next time.